eating each other lately in court. That's Hall and Oates. Good morning. It's 8:43. And it's time to check in on your money and find out what's going on Wall Street this morning. Finally, we can actually see green ink for the day. What a concept. It's been a few days after a really rotten week last week. Phillip Statler is on the line from Statler Financial Services in downtown Sebring. Boy, Phillip, we actually got green ink yesterday. It must have been a good feeling for a change, wasn't it?
You know, it was a pleasant day to see green ink versus what we saw last week, because I was afraid that we would follow through and continue that downward slope on Monday. But hey, they reversed course. And the question really is, Dave, can we keep it going?
I suspect that we probably won't be making any major moves until after the Fed gets done with us next week. But hope spring is eternal. To set the table, yeah, it was a great day. Dow was up a full 1.2%, up 484 points yesterday. S&P was up over a full percent, up 63. NASDAQ was up 1.1+%, up $194 yesterday. It was all in all a very good day on the equities market, without a lot of heavy news that came out either.
Yeah, there was not much news at all, really. I mean, and so today we'll see if we can continue that trend. I noticed earlier this morning that oil prices are down, so that's good news too, and so that could be helping our stocks a little bit as well.
Yeah, the reduction in energy cost is good for almost every business in one form or another. One of my headlines on one of my tip sheets is the oil shock that hasn't happened. Everybody was expecting $100 a barrel oil by now. What does Sam Hill happened?
Yeah, I don't know about what happened. You know, everybody needs money. All the countries that produce it need money, so they're in a competitive bid just to keep people buying.
And that really is pretty much the world influence on the thing. In the face of some of the economies like China slowing down, that's a little bit lower demand. The countries that sell oil, Russia among them, who has a limited customer base right now because of all of the sanctions, they're kind of getting into a bidding war down and fighting their way to the bottom, which I frankly don't mind in the least. When we get to the futures, I think folks will kind of like what they like for a barrel of oil these days. The big news that everybody was going hoo-ha over yesterday was the biggest company in the nation, Apple, announced their new iPhones, and everybody pretty much yawned at it because the new features aren't going to be available for a month or two. I mean, the 16's a pretty nice-looking phone. It's got increased capabilities, but the fancy-pants new artificial intelligence features aren't going to be out for at least another 30 to 45 days, and the market after the announcement was relatively flat for Apple, but it was a little tinge of red. Then overnight, the European community did a number on both Apple and Google, and Apple especially, because they got a back tax bill to worry about, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I did see that come across my ticker this morning, that they have a pretty hefty European tax bill coming due. The high court over there, the highest court, basically ruled against them. And I want to think the number was pretty big. I can't see it off the top of my head right now, but I want to think it's like 13 billion euros. I mean, it was no small chump change.
No, they can take it out of the coffee fund. This is Apple we're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, so that put a little pressure on their stock this morning. Well, here it is right here. $14.4 billion tax that they have to pay. Maybe the iPhone will start going up in price.
That's kind of enough to make you choke on your iTag, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. That's a pretty big number.
Add to that the fact that there's a pending antitrust move against both Google and Apple over in Europe, and that's going to come to a settlement of the billions as well. It might actually explain a little bit of why something I noticed my chart of the day that I was messing with. It's been kind of interesting. We talk about the Magnificent Seven for almost every doggone day because they're obviously the highest priced stocks. They can really move all three of the indexes. But over the last month and a half or so, investors have been getting boring. They've been buying real estate, utilities, and financials. Those are the segments on the Standard & Poor's 500 that's been up. And the high-tech junk like NVIDIA, like Google, like the rest of them, they're not half as impressive as they were.
Yeah, they've kind of slowed down a little bit. I think maybe the high interest rate is finally catching up with them a little bit as well. So it's getting harder for those guys to continue to increase their revenue and increase their bottom line, and that's that's what stock prices are based on.
Absolutely. I look at the three categories that are going up in the S&P 500, and it looks like an old guy's equities portfolio right now, relatively safe and boring stocks. Don't mind seeing it in the least. The other thing that's on the hopper for today that isn't financial oriented, but because they're going to talk about economic policy, is the big debate tonight. Somebody called it the second first debate of the presidential race. Harris and Trump are going to argue economic policy tonight, and if Kamala Harris stands on all of her economic proposals, given the fact that she's got a slight lead right now in the national opinion polls, I got a sneaking hunch that might very well be a market mover in the morning if she stands on what she was proposing earlier.
Well, yeah, it will be, and if she can explain them, that would be a real good thing. So we'll see how that works out for her, seeing that, best I can tell, she's the first presidential campaign that the people haven't got to vote for. So that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting to watch in the process. And some of her proposals that she's been putting out while she's been trying to flesh out her policy positions, even normal advocate new media that are favorable to her have been poo-pooing some of her economic proposals. So it's going to be interesting to see if she stands on them tonight and tries to defend them, or whether or not she shuffles and decides that she's going to modify them a little bit in the face of criticism, even from her advocates. It's a slow news day today. The small business optimism index is due out, but I think that's like at 10 o'clock this morning. It hasn't hit my ticker yet.
Yeah, actually, it's probably just not much news because that one comes out at 6 a.m. And I haven't seen anything about it either. It was basically supposed to stay about the same as it was last month.
Yeah, I was going to say expected was 93.7. It was 93.7 before. I didn't have a time frame, but when I couldn't find it, I assumed it got delayed until later on this morning. I guess it wasn't a news item, so that's why I couldn't find it.
But tomorrow, Dave, we'll have some stuff to talk about because the CPI comes out, and then Thursday you got the PPI coming out. So we got a few things coming out the rest of the week.
Oh, yeah, the CPI is going to be a major market mover because it'll be the last reading that the Federal Reserve governors have before the Open Market Committee next Tuesday and Wednesday. And Wednesday is going to be a seismograph no matter what they end up doing. I found an interesting piece, and it does stand up against my economic education anyway. It won't necessarily be good for stocks on the midterm if they give us a half-point cut. Now, a lot of the interest-sensitive stocks will have party time for 24, 48 hours afterwards, but that big a decrease in the interest rate will not necessarily help the overall indexes. A quarter point is expected. It's almost guaranteed, but if they do anything more than that, or heaven forbid less than that, there's going to be a seismograph in the markets.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll wait to see what that looks like when they finally let us know what they're doing.
Absolutely. There were a few reports out, stragglers I expect from last quarter, among them one of the dinosaurs in the tech industry. How did Oracle do anyway?
So Oracle, they did okay. They beat expectations on earnings and on revenue. And so that's got them trading up about 8.5% this morning. We did have this one's kind of interesting to me, Dave. Mission Produce. I'm not sure who Mission Produce is, but they must be one of the biggest avocado producers there is. Their third quarter revenue jumped by 24% from a year ago. $324 million worth of avocado sales.
Huh?
This last quarter.
Not my fault. I don't like avocado toast.
So at this point, they are trading up 18.25%, and their competitor, Calvo Growers, now they also reported they beat by about 13, 14 cents a share. So they've actually doubled their quarterly dividend to 20 cents a share. They're up about 7.33%.
Boy, screw NVIDIA. Put me into avocado stocks. Odd stuff out there. Anything else, indications you got for the morning?
That's about all we got this morning, Dave.
Uh-oh. All righty. I knew when you had to stretch down and give me avocado futures, I knew I was in trouble this morning. Resetting the table, a pretty substantial up day yesterday for all the major indexes on Wall Street. Can we hold those gains this morning, Phillip? How are we doing 45 minutes early?
Well, right now, Dave, we've got everything in the green, which we appreciate. The Dow's up 0.1%. The S&P 500 is up a third. NASDAQ 100's up a third as well. Russell 2000's basically even right now. And wouldn't you know it, as I get ready to tell you what the futures is doing, my futures decided to leave me. Hold on just 1 second, and I will tell you what the oil is doing, because it was popped up there just a minute ago, and I was quite appreciative of it.
Need mine?
Yep, I got it right here. So
okay.
We've got gold up about 0.25% right now. Silver is up 0.6, and then we got crude oil right now down. Gotta like it, Dave. Down almost 1% to $68.08 a barrel.
We'll take that very happily. If you want to hear a collective sigh of relief from 1 billion people all at once, look at the Asian Rim. They looked at us yesterday and said, oh, thank God they aren't going into a recession. Mainland Chinese markets even went up considerably. Most of the Asian Rim, with the exception of Japan and South Korea, up this morning at the close at 6 a.m. our time. Looking at Europe, they're kind of heaving a little bit of a sigh of relief, but not a big one. We're pretty flat across the European community. Internal stuff going on politically in Germany and France has kind of dragged those two markets down. So the overall European index is just about flat halfway through their trading day today. Trying to get a beat on a retirement plan? Don't buy avocados. Get some advice from a financial planner that can do it right for you. How do I find you to get that advice?
Then give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule a core retirement analysis. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
On the other hand, avocados might not be that bad an investment, right?
Maybe. We'll see.
Thank you, sir. I'll see you tomorrow, same time right here. Fair enough?
Fair enough, buddy. Have a great day.
Thank you. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler. It's not.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Hope your week is off to a great start. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.